Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the program. It's Friday, January 22nd, coming to you live from our studio in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyan. Now, before we get started, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea reports 346 new COVID-19 cases Friday, falling back below the 400 mark. But elsewhere, COVID-19 variants continue to spread, with Portugal and China imposing new prevention measures to contain the virus. The World Trade Organization has ruled in favor of South Korea in its lawsuit against the U.S. for its high tariffs on local steel and power transformer products. And U.S. President Joe Biden signed a flurry of orders in his first full day in office, which largely focuses on establishing a national strategy for addressing the pandemic. We start off with the COVID-19 situation here in South Korea. The nation reported 346 new cases of COVID-19 on Friday. The figure once again dropped below 400, but sporadic cluster infections continue, with at least 18 infections linked to a sauna in Gangnam. Of the new cases on Friday, 314 were locally transmitted, most in the Greater Seoul area. 32 were from overseas. The total number of cases now has surpassed 74,000 mark. Countries around the world are continuing to fight against the rapid spread of the new COVID-19 variants. Portugal and China have imposed new virus prevention measures to contain the local transmission of the new strains that are more infectious than the original. Kim Hyo-sun reports.
Portugal is grappling with the rapid surge of the new COVID-19 variant out of Britain, with increased prevalence from 8 to 20%. The country's prime minister warned this could even reach 60% in the coming weeks. To this end, the government has decided to close schools temporarily.
In the face of this new strain and its speed of transmission, precaution advises us to interrupt all school activities for the coming 2 weeks, a suspension that will be later on compensated on the school calendar.
Portugal has the world's highest 7-day average rate of new cases per 100,000 people, with its total tally exceeding 590,000. Germany, which saw over 1,000 daily COVID-19 fatalities for the second straight day on Thursday, is also battling a rapid surge of the new variant. Its health authorities say 28 cases of the UK variant have been reported so far in the country. On top of this, local media outlets say at least 15 additional cases of the variant have been reported among medical professionals and patients in Berlin. China is also intensifying virus prevention measures amid a surge in new cases. 1.6 million residents have been banned from leaving Beijing as cases linked to a new UK variant were found in the capital. Authorities are on high alert as they believe these cases could be local transmissions. Latest research also suggests the South African variant can reduce the efficacy of the current line of vaccines. South Africa's National Institute for Communicable Diseases has found that the South African variant can evade the antibodies that attack it in treatment, utilizing blood plasma from previously recovered patients. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
On his first full day in office, new U.S. President Joe Biden signed a flurry of orders to establish a national security for addressing the pandemic. The president vowed to ramp up vaccination supplies and expanded mandatory mask wearing to public spaces. Choi Min-jung has the details.
The newly elected U.S. president's first full day at the White House started off with the signing of executive orders aimed at tackling the COVID-19 pandemic.
Today, I am unveiling a national strategy on COVID-19 and executive actions to beat this pandemic.
In his first briefing on the pandemic on Thursday, Biden issued 10 executive orders addressing the situation, adding to the first round of orders signed on Inauguration Day. Biden unveiled strategies to contain the current health crisis by first promising to ramp up vaccination supplies.
Our plan starts with mounting an aggressive, safe, and effective vaccination campaign to meet our goal of administering 100 million shots in our first 100 days in office.
Under Biden's order, 100 vaccination centers will be set up within a month, with vaccination programs for local pharmacies to begin next month. On top of Wednesday's mask mandate order on federal property, Biden added that people must wear masks in airports as well as on planes, trains, and buses. The new order also requires foreigners to test negative for COVID-19 prior to arriving in the U.S. and self-quarantine for 2 weeks upon arrival. He also sought to reopen schools under safe guidance. In a White House press briefing moments after Biden's sign-off, U.S. top infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci and White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki gave an update on the administration's vaccine efforts. Fauci noted that the new administration will not completely abandon strategies from the Trump administration, but will continue the work by amplifying methods. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
Under the new Biden administration, the United States intends to remain in the World Health Organization in order to join the COVAX vaccine facility, which aims to deliver COVID-19 vaccines to developing countries. This is according to Chief Medical Advisor Anthony Fauci, who spoke to the WHO Executive Board on Thursday, confirming that the U.S. would remain a member. Fauci added that the U.S. would work multilaterally on issues from the COVID-19 pandemic to HIV and AIDS. The head of the WHO called the U.S. decision to rejoin as a good day for the WHO and a good day for global health. And the World Trade Organization has ruled in favor of South Korea in its lawsuit against the U.S. for its high tariffs on local steel and power transformer products. According to Seoul's Trade Ministry on Friday, the WTO panel said all 8 cases of Washington's tariffs on South Korean products violated the international organization's rules. Seoul filed a lawsuit in February 2018 when the country claimed Washington has been imposing high tariffs on South Korean products by applying the adverse facts available provision since 2016. The provision allows extremely high anti-dumping tariffs if an accused company doesn't provide the data demanded by U.S. authorities. The European Central Bank has held interest rates steady at 0%, with a deposit rate at negative 0.5%. It also warned that a new surge in COVID-19 infections poses a serious risk to the Eurozone's recovery. Lee Seung-jae reports.
As widely expected, the European Central Bank on Thursday held its interest rates at 0% while leaving its program of unconventional monetary policy unchanged. This comes as the central bank launched a pandemic-specific bond buying program to support the economy through the pandemic and has offered cheap credit to banks in order to encourage lending. During a press conference Thursday, ECB President Christine Lagarde warned that the COVID-19 pandemic is still posing serious risks to the Eurozone economy as lockdowns are tightened across the region.
Nonetheless, the pandemic continues to pose serious risks to public health and to the euro area and global economies. The renewed surge in COVID-19 infections and the restrictive and prolonged containment measures imposed in many euro area countries are disrupting economic activity.
Lagarde also emphasized the importance of monetary stimulus during the pandemic.
In this environment, ample monetary stimulus remains essential to preserve favorable financing conditions over the pandemic period for all sectors of the economy. By helping to reduce uncertainty and bolster confidence, this will encourage consumer spending and business investment.
With more than 16 million COVID-19 infections in the EU, 2021 has begun with stricter social restrictions and national lockdowns. Considering the economic uncertainty, the central bank vowed to update its policies whenever necessary. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
2 suicide bombs ripped through a busy market in the Iraqi capital on Thursday, killing at least 32 people and wounding dozens. No individual or group has claimed responsibility for the terror attack, but Iraqi authorities blame the Islamic State group. Choi Jung-yoon has the latest.
On Thursday at around 10 a.m. local time, a deadly twin suicide bomb attack struck a usually bustling market in central Baghdad. The attack killed at least 32 people and injured 110 others. According to Iraqi officials, the first bomber entered the market pretending to be sick and asked for help. When people gathered around him, he blew himself up.
We were there by the stands. The attacker came, fell to the ground, and started complaining, "My stomach is hurting." Then he pressed the detonator in his hand. It exploded immediately. People were torn to pieces.
The second bomber is said to have then driven to the scene on a motorcycle before detonating his explosive vest. No one immediately claimed responsibility, but security forces believe it to be the work of the Islamic State group.
The method and the enemy are clear, as far as I know. Though there is no official declaration, the terrorist organization Islamic State is behind this criminal incident.
Iraq's health minister said many of the injured are in a critical condition, and all the hospitals in the capital city are being mobilized to help in the aftermath. This was the fourth suicide attack to strike Baghdad in nearly 2 years, and comes amid heightened political tensions and a severe economic crisis. Suicide attacks were once an almost daily occurrence in the Iraqi capital, but attacks had halted in the years since Islamic State fighters were defeated in 2017, improving security overall and bringing normal life back to Baghdad. The Iraqi Prime Minister held an urgent meeting with top officials on Thursday and deployed security forces and blocked key roads to prevent possible further attacks. 최정윤, Arirang News.
12 days after an Indonesian plane crashed into the Java Sea, killing all 62 people on board, the search for remaining victims and debris has been halted. The search and identified the bodies of 43 people, but 19 of the missing, including both pilots, have yet to be found. Though retrieval operations have ended, a limited search for the missing memory unit from the cockpit voice recorder that holds conversations between pilots will continue. The crash was the biggest airline disaster in Indonesia since 2018, when more than 180 people were killed on board a Boeing 737 MAX that also plunged into the Java Sea soon after takeoff. It's been just over 1 year since South Korea confirmed its first case of COVID-19. And since then, a dramatic digital pivot has taken place from online classes to remote hiring. Kim Jae-hee has a wrap-up of how South Korea has adopted non-contact activities 1 year on.
Not long after South Korea saw its first case of COVID-19 on January 20th last year, it was hit with a large-scale outbreak in late February, forcing a shift to digital non-contact activities. With only around 1 month to prepare, schools successfully kicked off their new semester in April through online classes. This was made possible through close cooperation with IT companies.
At first, we were asked to provide online services for high school students in Daegu, but that got expanded to students nationwide. The pre-existing system, which could only be used by 2,000 students at a time, was multiplied to around 3 million in less than a month. It was unprecedented.
Since then, companies across the country underwent digital transformation, turning to remote hiring rather than in-person interviews for recruitment. Firms also scrapped face-to-face meetings and opted to use remote working systems and online conferences.
Since the pandemic, even small and medium-sized companies and traders have adopted video conferencing systems. We carried out more than 56,000 video conferences last year, far above the goal of 2,000 we set at the beginning of the year.
Online shopping also boomed last year amid social distancing rules. One expert says these trends of online shopping, telecommunication, and online classes could outlive the pandemic.
South Korea's comparative advantage lies in speed and accuracy. The country has one of the fastest internet networks in the world. When COVID-19 broke out, Seoul was able to lead the digital transformation with these advantages. This so-called non-contact economy is here to stay, with merits in reduced costs and shorter transportation time.
The South Korean government plans to invest 13.4 trillion Korean won, or some $12 billion by the end of 2022, in its Digital New Deal project to foster the non-contact industry and speed up the digitalization of the economy for the post-pandemic era. Kim Jae-hee, Arirang News.
Good morning. This week we had some dramatic weather conditions. Bone-chilling temperatures to start the week, then early spring weather with sunshine, and now we are under murky skies with rain and fine dust. In fact, the capital region Chungcheongbuk-do and Daegu will have to endure high levels of fine dust throughout the day today. And we are also looking at another band of precipitation from the east starting this afternoon, gradually spreading to certain parts of the country. And mountainous regions in Gangwon-do province could see up to 30 centimeters of snowfall. In fact, this band of precipitation will carry on through the weekend, while the rest of us will be under lots of clouds with unseasonably mild temperatures. And it's going to be a mild one this afternoon too. Seoul gets up to 9, Daegu at 11 degrees Celsius. But a week from now, we'll be shivering again with icy cold temperatures. So please be aware of roller coaster temperatures. The cold winter hasn't finished just yet. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that's a wrap-up for us at the hour on Arirang News. We'll be back with more of the day's headlines at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Maintain